Hello, and I'm back again. So, I was having a thought out of it, kind of felt like a conclusion rather. Uh, this video is going to be about how our patterns form and how they seem to be like karma in a way. Karma, not in a bad way that Western concept has made it appear to be, the real karma, our doings. So, there are many thought layers behind this. I have a keen interest in astrology, although I do want to unlearn so many things that I have learned in few years, because learning such a deep deep science, uh, takes a different level of your mental capability. And once you get into it, you see everything through its lens. So I'm trying to unlearn it. But anyway, whatever learnings I have through that, then there is also one thing that many great people say who are very spiritually evolved. Even those people say this, that how we, when we are unconscious of our actions, our patterns become, or whatever we do in unconscious level without any significant awareness towards our activity, how that becomes very robotic. And the astrology feels like quite an imprint of that. um, what I felt while connecting the dots is that if we keep repeating something, like we in the early morning, the hygiene stuff that we do, we brush our teeth very unconsciously, the hand, the mouth, everything, just they work on their own, and we do not have to put much of an effort, or we do not try to be aware with that action, and it becomes a very repetitive cycle, and it is on autopilot in a way. So just after waking up, without even any thought that I have to go brush my teeth, I go and brush my teeth. That is a very subtle but a very uh, explained behavior of what karma, what pattern, what we in astrology, not we, what the astrologers say, that this is your prarabdha, you have to go through it, because we are so much unaware of our own actions, our own activities, that we repeat them without any consciousness, without any awareness, and that becomes such a strong imprint in our lives, in our mind, on every level, unconscious, subconscious, conscious, every level, that we move through those actions like it is on autopilot. We are not even performing it. It has become like that. So the major uh, events, the major decisions that we take in our life, the way we deal with people, that too, that is so much linked with it. The way we relate with others, the way we deal with them, it is as if our mind is on autopilot if we are not very conscious of it. Suppose if somebody is of a very anxious or very angry demeanor, then that person will get triggered every single time in every little thing. And the behavior that comes out of this person who is very angry, they will make others feel very devalued, and all kind of unpleasant emotions that person will go through. And what will happen eventually, that other person who took the wrath of this angry person will slowly I mean, they will try to not be much connected, or they will be very unpleased with this person, and eventually the relation will go haywire, or maybe the other person will try to stay as distant as possible from this person in any way possible for them. And this is what in astrology they will point out that, oh, your so and so such and such placement is like this, so you are facing this kind of troubles. No, I am saying no, it is not like that. It is because you are so unconscious of your own unpleasant emotions, of anger, of hatred, of jealousy, or whatsoever. You are unconscious, that is why you are going to the astrologer to blame your behaviors, the behaviors that you are unconscious of on a distant planet over there. So, this has been me. This is why it is coming from an experience. Going through the astrology, there was a time that I felt like I need to improve, I need to improve, that kind of intensity I had. Then I entered into this study, self taught everything. And then also I tried to but failed consulting astrologers, but rarely anything worked. Not in a way that remedies or anything, no, because something would happen that I would not be able to trust them much, despite them telling all those past events and all those things, even after those things accurately matched. But somewhere I felt like this does not define me. And once I felt that I am responsible for my own actions and I have the ability to respond in a limitless way to whatever happens to me, from that point, from that moment on, I have realized that my own birth chart does not apply much to me. Thanks to the sadhana, to my guru, the sadhana that I'm initiated into, I think they have, in a very subtle way, in the hindsight, they have worked, these things have worked, my guru has worked behind this consciousness that I'm living in now. So these things fade eventually, because once we are aware of our thinking, our behavior, our emotions that we are going through, we may not have control over the first thought or first emotion that gets triggered, because we have an reptilian brain as well. We will feel threatened, we will go into fight and flight mode because of that. That is our default system. But how long do we sustain it? How long we push ourselves into that uncomfortable feeling? That is not necessary. Like, see, suppose if there is a disappointing phase in your life. I had this point, uh, a very disappointing phase in my 12th board results. I prepared very well. Every teacher, everyone around me was very hopeful for me that I will surely get a certain kind of percentage in my board exams. Eventually, it didn't happen. It was state boards, and I came from a different background where marks were quite lenient. But in state board, it is a little bit, it is better, I guess. So I could not perform there as much as everybody expected me, even myself. So that was a very disappointing phase. What happened at that time? I stayed in that emotion of disappointment and underconfidence and many such feelings around that time, that my entire next phase of education I sabotaged it myself. Not completely, I would not completely blame myself for that, because then again, It was not a disappointment situation here, it was completely a different story altogether. But I sabotaged it, thinking that whatever efforts I put, it has no meaning, it has no result, it has no purpose. So it is a very funny story around my graduation years, that once I used to think that I used to count my marks while writing the examination itself. That if I am crossing the passing marks, then I would just leave that paper, leave that examination, and go back home from the examination hall. That was my way of sabotaging my graduation years. Although I do not have any regrets about it. But this is how we act. Out of one trigger point, the unexpected, unpleasant result that I had in my 12th boards, I pushed myself into that one feeling throughout for the next 3 years or so. And I stayed in that feeling. My mind, my body mind, and my body. Note this term, the body mind, because what happens now, I once read in a book. uh, right now I do not remember it. I do not seem to recall the name of this book, but I will share it someday. That the mind reacts to a trigger and it releases many chemicals in our body, and that way those chemicals get stored in our body. And body is what? A mass of energy that has taken a form, something like this. So this body itself becomes a mind, and that is why many diseases, many discomfort, or many kind of comfort or ease way, uh, some people who are happy-go-lucky kind of, they feel very light in their body. So this difference arises once those certain kinds of emotions and chemicals because of those emotions release from our different systems in our body. So that way the body itself becomes a mind and captures the triggering phases of our life. The first trigger, the body also remembers it. So it acts as a mind itself. And then it is a pattern. Once our body uh, acknowledges a trigger, and it keeps that part uh, as a memory and the reaction to it. If next time the same thing happens, we mostly, if we are unaware, then we may again behave in the same way that we behaved in the first trigger itself. Every other trigger, unless we are aware of it, we are going to behave in the same way. That becomes our pattern, that becomes our doing, that is karma. But then, once I overcame that phase of my life, that whatever efforts I put into anywhere, these have no significance. So, after that, slowly, because maybe I needed to be more conscious of my actions and thoughts and emotions. It went for me in a very slow process, but eventually it worked, because at least I got conscious of my actions, the emotions, the thoughts that I was going through. So, after a point of time, as I mentioned earlier, that birth chart does not feel very relevant to me anymore, although it is on many levels. The external factors may be there, I guess, but my reaction nowhere close to what the chart says. Um, and we can also, because our soul chose a certain time where the planetary alignments aligned with its purpose. At that time, it chose that certain time, certain day, certain place, certain family, because it wanted to dissolve those karmas, right? what is the end goal of our soul? To dissolve itself into the higher, uh, I don't know what exactly, into the creator itself, if I say. So, the sole purpose of this soul is that I want to get rid of all the shackles of my own created karma. I need to be aware of all those things. But what we do after we are born, after all the conditioning that this society, our family, and our own thought processes uh, do on the way all these things are imprinted on our mind, we forget. Not we, the soul, it kinds of gets veiled, the wisdom that our soul has through this conditioning, these architect of our life, architecture of our life, these this important lesson of being aware in whatsoever we do, that gets filled. And from there on, we are unconscious and we think, oh my god, I have such a bad luck, such a bad life, and things like that, which is not true. It is not true that nothing in this life is bad or good either. Whatever it is either unawareness or the awareness. It is either the darkness or the light. This is how we can understand it better. So, once we are aware, like in the example of the angry person that I just mentioned earlier, if we really think about it, if we ponder on it, then probably in every other area of our life, we can apply that, become more aware of our own being. Like, suppose, how are we living on autopilot? We are not living, we are just existing. Every other rock, insects, other animals, birds, even those are much more conscious of themselves. We are not. We are on autopilot. It is just happening. Life is just happening. We are not living. This is where we have come down to. So, this is a kind of future message to myself that, yeah, on this day, I understood it really well enough to explain it also because of the experience I got. And I hope this thought helps you as well. Signing off.